As the Marvel Universe expands in front of us, we're back with yet another Origins video. In this video, we will be diving into yet another mutant. This villain was instrumental in shaking the core of the X-Men, even defeating them in instances, proving his power. He was so powerful and ambitious that he supposedly killed his mother. This intriguing character is none other than Raze, the son of Wolverine and Mystique. As we already know, Wolverine is a mutant, and Mystique is one of the best shapeshifters in the X-Men universe. Perhaps a little less than her son, Raze lived up to his name, creating rage in the Marvel Universe since he felt the power that X-Men held was unethical and misused. You may ask, but why? Why would he stand against the X-Men, against his father, or kill his mother for that matter? Patience, Marvel fans. Without further ado, let us explore Raze and his origins. But before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you, and let's begin. The backstory of Raze. The comic issue 70 of All New X-Men shows a woman in labor. After much effort, a healthy baby of 3.69 kilograms is born. However, the minute the mother holds the baby, she says she doesn't want the baby. The doctors were perplexed as the mother becomes increasingly hysterical. She leaves the baby away and shapeshifts, revealing Mystique outside a hospital. This child is Charles Xavier II, the son of Mystique and Charles Xavier. After this, the comic takes us through the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants' attack on the X-Men. Raze is proactive, he shapeshifts as Laura and acts as though she's losing consciousness. When the healer arrives, Raze kills him and reveals himself. Soon, the power of the Xavier School for Mutants shuts off. On another level, the X-Men team briefly searches for Mindy, who is now turned. Charles Xavier II, through mind control and psychic powers, starts controlling many students and the X-Men. Christopher Summers, Jean Grey, and a few other X-Men regroup to plan and counter this. Through their conversation, it is revealed that they thought a few members of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants had expired the last time they had attacked, and this new attack was completely unexpected. This is when we are brought into the future timeline where a woman asks Charles to get into a school bus. Charles has a severe migraine. The woman tries calming him, but within seconds, she is murdered by the sheer force of his mind alone. Charles looks behind in disbelief. The comic then takes us back to the Xavier School where Raze and the other X-Men, including Laura, fight with the Brotherhood through Xavier's psychotic mind capture. Scott Summers is severely injured, so much so that Jean is unable to get a pulse. The healer Raze killed magically gets up, healing himself, but at the same time Mindy, whom Xavier controls, attacks them all. This brings us to another timeline in the future at a place called Madripoor. We meet Raze, who is shapeshifted as Mystique to hide the fact that Raze killed Mystique. The reason Raze would do this is open for interpretation. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. This is when Raze meets Charles Xavier II, his half-brother, for the first time. Charles recognizes Raze instantly. They eventually ally to defeat the X-Men. Both believe strongly that the X-Men was initially meant to protect, but the X-Men was a lost cause and threat after Xavier's father's death. They had too much power and too little respect for Xavier's father or any soldier who laid their life for them. What hurt Xavier the most was that his father's school, built by him with all his efforts, even this school failed to retain his name, as though the X-Men had forgotten him entirely. For Raze, he simply hated the X-Men. He found an ally in Xavier and took a stand with him. Returning to the comic, where the attack in the Xavier School is happening, a teenage Jean Grey and her team are still figuring out how to stop this outbreak. When Xavier reaches the younger Jean Grey, he comments on his mistake of not going for Jean Grey first, which led to his failure at a time before his attack. He thanks her for rectifying his mistake while Jean Grey looks confused. For those who could not gather, wait up, the next issue of this comic explains precisely what is happening. Xavier forms a dark alliance, the birth of his Brotherhood of Evil Mutants with Raze. As we know, Xavier II created the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants along with Raze. However, all the other mutants, Deadpool, Molly Hayes, and Beasts, were controlled by Xavier. Xavier gathered puppets he controlled so that he could bring an army together. The next issue of this comic explores how the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants planned their strategy against the X-Men. They created a plan by involving Dr. McCoy, who had brought the X-Men to the future, but they are stuck in that timeline since they need to learn how to go back. Dr. McCoy was seriously disturbing, and Xavier made it better to use him for a purpose. The Brotherhood planned to kill the X-Men at a time when they did not have the mastery over magic, advanced technology, or the power to bend the laws of physics. This is by using Dr. McCoy and going into the past. Keeping this in mind, they are all set to plan an attack. Meanwhile, we see X-23, or Laura's alter ego, who's stabbed and left for dead somewhere in Canada in the present timeline. We now return to the link in the last comic when Mindy attacks the X-Men. She realizes that it is not her attacking but Xavier using her. We see her struggling to control herself. Meanwhile, Xavier corners Jean, who tries her best to revolt, but her psychic powers have not yet developed enough to win against Xavier. She gets to know what drives Xavier: hatred, disrespect for his father by the X-Men that takes away everything from him, including the name of the school that his father had built with his money for mutants. We are brought back into the future, where Raze and Xavier discuss with Dr. McCoy why they cannot get rid of the X-Men. Dr. McCoy says he has lost the will to fight against his brother and the X-Men. Instead of letting go of McCoy, Xavier exerts dominance on the Brotherhood. Meanwhile, Mindy, who's struggling with the powers in the past, brings down most of them. Xavier catches hold of Mr. Summers, who had killed his father, Charles Xavier. This meet is, however, met by force from Jean Grey. The comic takes us back to the future, where Raze ideates the whole attack against the X-Men and the Brotherhood and says he would send a letter to the future if any of them were to fail. This is when a messenger arrives with a note about how the Brotherhood failed once, but it consists of a list of how they can try again. Back in the Xavier school, in the past timeline, we reach a point where Raze will win, and all the X-Men are captured by Xavier using his mind powers alone. However, in front of Xavier, facing him while he controls everyone, Jean Grey blocks Emma out and tells her to attack Xavier, who is physically present in front of her. Jean Grey was cornered in her own mind by Xavier, but she could connect with Emma somehow. Emma attacks Xavier with a newfound psychic power. Xavier stops losing control over others as well. The X-Men gain traction and Raze shows up just when Xavier is about to be killed. However, Xavier also loses his touch with his own Brotherhood. They wake up as if from a daze and join the X-Men. Xavier tries one last time, but his attempts are in vain. He disappears when he's wholly cornered, as he does many times in the comic. Molly Hayes, one of the evil mutants on Xavier's team, offers her help to find Xavier. They find Xavier and arrest him. In the end, the half-brothers are captured and detained with a power-dampening collar on their necks. The comic ends with another letter from a messenger, bringing us to a promise of seeing the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants again, with Raze and Xavier challenging the X-Men with more power and adventure. Little do they know, the X-Men are already anticipating the ultimate plan of Raze to wipe out humanity. The story of Raze doesn't end with just this. Of course, Raze has his next appearance in the comic X-Men No More Humans. This happens at a timeline before his birth when Mystique is alive. Raze has multiple face-offs with his father, Wolverine, in this issue as well. Raze becomes the mastermind behind clearing out 7 billion people from Earth with a plan of making Earth a mutant-only and mutant-dominant world. He attacks the laboratory of Dr. Gregory Sale, bypassing most of the security checks as Raze shapeshifts into multiple forms. At times, he is a small girl or Dr. Sale himself. He is, however, captured soon. Raze's extraordinary power moves the doctors. He is so powerful that he doesn't just lose a face to bring another, he can also shift his body mass index. He also switched his body temperature to about 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which was admirable to not alert the heat sensors. We'll talk more about Raze's superpowers in a few minutes. Raze, though captured, breaks away from his cage and attacks Dr. Sale to borrow a machine he had created. Dr. Sale owned his own company that supposedly created various dangerous weapons in his timeline. His work was well known, which made him a magnet and an asset. Despite the security, Raze takes the machine created by Dr. Sale and successfully makes 7 billion humans disappear simultaneously. Not just this, he establishes information about other worlds where mutants are prosecuted, stating every mutant shall receive refuge here on Earth. Meanwhile, X-Men, with the help of Cerebra, which is a mutant detecting technology, find no mutants during the first day or so of the attack, until Dr. McCoy changes the configuration, setting Cerebra to find humans. This leads them to Dr. Sale, the only human alive on Earth. However, he is nothing but another bait. While the X-Men are trying to figure out what is going on, more mutants enter Earth through a portal near the Jean Grey High School, demanding that X-Men should keep their promise and let them seek asylum here, on Earth. What's more intriguing is that all of this was just done by one brain, that of Raze. After using Dr. Sale as bait, the X-Men sneak into his mind, and Logan, the OG Wolverine, figures out that his son Raze was behind all of this. The X-Men divide their forces. Some care for mutants constantly entering Earth and their food supplies, while the rest plan and strategize to control this. Wolverine takes it upon himself to bring down Raze. Being part of the latter group, the Nightcrawler enters a strange empty factory from which they receive an off signal. Here, Raze makes himself known, alerting the X-Men on purpose. He wanted to toy with the X-Men. Perhaps this arrogance over his powers made him so malleable to his doom. He kidnaps the Nightcrawler and calls all the X-Men for a chat. During this, he informs them of his plans to bring all mutants to Earth and how it is suitable for all since this means they can live in harmony. The X-Men think of many ways to counter Raze, but they are powerless. On one end, Magneto supports and applauds Raze for bringing back prosecuted mutants, while the rest leaves with the hope of coming back with a plan. For now, they send a few spies to the mutant settlements, hoping to gain some information through Raze or Mystique. At this point, Mystique is blinded by the love for her son. She feels whatever her son does is correct and doesn't consider another view. Raze does commit a tiny mistake in his master plan, since he didn't know how to operate the machine 7 billion people on Earth were dangling through a vacuum, and Dr. Sale was the only man who understood. The X-Men plan to revive Dr. Sale and then attack Raze. Logan is more than excited about this, as he feels his son deserves what will come towards him. So, the X-Men attack Raze while a zombie version of Dr. Sale works on the machine to bring back the humans. Raze and Wolverine have an intense fight, each other effective than the other, but their argument is halted when things take an evil turn. Another version of Jean Grey as the Phoenix enters the fight because of Raze. Raze makes the shapeshifter mastermind turn into Jason, her lover who was traumatized by the X-Men in this version. But things take a terrible turn when Jean Grey meets the original Jean Grey. Their combined Phoenix force is magical and amalgamates. They bring back the human settlements and send the mutants back. No one can fight them off since their energy makes them all powerless. Ultimately, Raze and his team are left alone, though the others demand an answer. Logan suggests that we all pretend this never happened and to leave it here. The X-Men leave with unfinished business brewing between Raze and Wolverine. What makes him a lethal opponent? Raze, the mutant love child of Wolverine and Mystique, is like a powerhouse of their coolest traits. He's got these killer 6-inch claws, 3 on each arm just like his dad, and hey, he's not just rocking the feet, he's got the super senses and crazy physical skills too. Just like Wolverine, and as we already know, he's an incredible shapeshifter as we see in a comic, No More Humans just a few minutes ago. Mystique passed that gem on and Raze is like a shape-shifting pro, even better than his mom. It is said that Raze can tweak his scent and shuffle around his organs, which is pretty wild. When it comes to throwing down, Raze is no joke. He's taken down some heavy hitters like a young Iceman, Beast, and maybe Psylocke. The deets on that one are a bit fuzzy. Even his old man Wolverine had tasted defeat at Raze's hand. Marvelous verdict. Raze's tale leaves us with a promise inscribed in a letter that hints at the resurgence of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. While Raze and Xavier face defeat, the shadows of future confrontations loom. With its potent blend of powers, the Brotherhood remains a cosmic force to be reckoned with, ensuring that the Marvel Universe will witness more power, adventure, and chaos. If you like the content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone.